Recording in progress.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Complete Sports Media's podcast on the Complete Media Network. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. And joining me, as always, on a Monday, Jason Cameron. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
Yeah. We had some technical difficulties, so we're starting a touch late. I was hoping we would get to a lot of NBA talk, and we're expecting a mystery guest to join us any minute here. And I haven't spilled the beans. Nobody spilled the beans to you, and we'll be able to welcome this guy in. He's in for a limited time, but we'll get a chance to chat with him in a minute here. So yeah, I'm excited. You'll be excited once we get it going, and I think it's going to be a fun podcast today. I wanted to talk about the NBA to start with, and I kind of thought we'd have about half an hour to talk about the NBA, and then we'd get into some other talk. But we're running out of time, so I do want to start with something that happened on the weekend that's been pretty cool. A mutual friend of ours reached out and said how excited she was over the weekend. I was watching some sports, and our friend Renata has had two amazing moments this weekend. A Serbian athlete was named the MVP of the NBA, and a Serbian athlete has won his 19th Grand Slam. And so we are, yeah, we're going to be able to get into that talk a little bit. But we're joined by our mystery guest here today. Jason had no idea you were coming on. You had no idea I was going to be joined with Jason as well. So we've got a panel here now. We get to talk some sports. This is Scott Holburn, everybody, for you longtime viewers and listeners. One of our analysts that we've had over the years. Haven't seen him in a little while, but we're welcoming in today. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Really good, really good. I guess you guys are both surprised to see each other on the screen too?
Yeah, I'm just going to bring up both of you.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Great.
Yeah, this will be fun. We'll get to talk some MMA. We'll get a little bit of back and forth. Huge card this weekend. Man, I love it when we can see some title fights. This card was special because there was 3 5-round fights on the card, 2 title fights, and one that was supposed to be a main event a couple weeks ago, and they pushed it to this one, and they kept it 5 rounds. Lots to break down and lots to talk about. How was the viewing experience for both of you guys for UFC 263? Go ahead.
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead. Here, go ahead, Scott.
Go ahead, Jason.
Okay. All right. For me, absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I was at a friend's place. He was setting up dinner. It was a barbecue with ribs. It was beautiful. But then also accentuated the night was just a great kind of fights, man. It was fantastic. Utterly fantastic. It was just a great night.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I didn't get together with the gang as usual, but was able to watch it at my house and enjoyed it immensely. Got some nice texts back and forth from Scott as well. I guess you were watching the main card live, which was nice. How'd you enjoy it, Scott?
Oh, it's great. I mean, anytime you've got Diaz on the card, it's always going to be fun. You know, you never know what to expect with that guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was great. I mean, it was a long card. I think it was record-setting, wasn't it?
14 fights on this one, so yeah, I mean, it was.
But I think the length of time because there were so many decisions, but there were some great fights.
Yeah, there sure was. Yeah, it's funny that not the main event, not the co-main event, but the third fight that was a 5-rounder ended up kind of stealing the show. Nate Diaz comes out of nowhere, hasn't fought in quite a while. He didn't win, but he becomes the story of the night. It's amazing that he can still move the needle so much, even in a loss.
Yeah,
well,
man.
I can't believe he could take that kind of punishment and not and still keep going. Better guys would have been out by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you getting off your seat when he almost KO'd him? He had him wobbled. He was trying to go in for the kill. Didn't throw as many punches as he should have right away. But how'd you feel in that last minute? Holy cow! He almost pulled out that victory. Jason.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, dude, what I'm going to say about Nate Diaz. He is just, he's the warrior. Like, I say that. He's like a WWE Ultimate Warrior. That guy always gives himself a chance to win.
Yeah.
He will never quit on himself, and you can't make him. You cannot make that man quit. Let's be honest here. Edwards was pitching a shutout up until the fifth round in the last minute and a half or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Until he hit him with that overhand left that almost took the show on its own, which was incredible. Like I'm watching it with my friends. We're all freaking out because he just almost off the impossible. The improbable. He was not in that fight. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. And then he almost made it into like the most miraculous win ever. And so even in the legend of Nate Diaz grows.
Yeah.
It grows and expands and becomes something even more than what it was before he walked into the octagon that night.
Yeah, I was wondering if it would become a little bit of a sideshow because, he does a lot of crazy things. He's off the wall. He's had a lot of problems in press conferences. This particular press conference, he brings some weed with him, starts smoking it, rolling it up while he's sitting there taking questions. Arizona has legalized marijuana and smoking weed in that whole state. So he was like, "Oh, I'm taking advantage." The UFC has adopted a policy that weed is not a performance-enhancing drug, so they're allowing fighters to test positive for that. It's not going to cause them any grief. Being in Arizona, having their lax laws now, he took advantage. I was really hoping he wouldn't come in super sluggish and acting, stoned, but he danced around too much. He clowned around too much. That's one of the things he does. But if he would have taken it to him a little bit more throughout the fight, he probably could have ended it sooner. Don't you think?
He couldn't.
No.
No, I mean, you're talking about Diaz? Like, could he take it to Edwards? No way. I mean, Edwards was just too fast. Edwards didn't listen to his corner between the fourth and fifth, too. They told him to keep up the leg kicks, which he didn't do. He totally got complacent. He was trying to ride it out, and he got caught.
Yeah, he definitely got caught by that left, and it wobbled him bad. Did you think it was going to end? Did you think he was going to finish him there?
I did. Yeah. I did, and it was almost. It wouldn't have been worth. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Diaz, the problem with Diaz, he could just take off for 2 years. I mean, I wish the guy would fight more, but Edwards deserved to win that fight. But man, it was pretty close. I mean, if Edwards were to listen to his corner, kept up the leg kicks, and didn't take his foot off the gas, this never would have happened. I think it's a learning experience for him.
Yeah. Even in a win, did it reduce his stock a little bit? Did it increase his stock? Because of that last minute, it seems to be a question now if he can be the next guy against Kamaru Usman.
He's not going to beat Usman.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean,
Mm-hmm. They're talking about
I know what you think,
Colby.
Jason.
They're talking about maybe Colby Covington now getting the shot instead of Leon Edwards. What do you think, Jason?
Colby Covington is just trying to talk his way to a shot. I mean, even though it went long, Usman dominated Colby Covington. Dominated him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Usman broke the man's jaw. All right, I kind of see a repeat of that, of him breaking his jaw again. And also, too, I kind of have a different take on Nate Diaz's showboating.
Okay.
I think personally, he was trying to do anything in anything possible to throw him off his game, throw Edwards off his game. And the showboating was trying to make him do things that he's not used to doing. Tried to get him off his focus because he was laser focused for most of that fight until, as Scott said, he started not respecting his corner, not respecting what they had said. And also, too, Diaz was that close, but with the accumulation of damage that Edwards had put on Diaz's body to that point, probably that was the determining factor in why Diaz couldn't put him away.
Yeah.
Because there was that much damage to
his legs. Yeah. True.
Whatever rounds that he just didn't have enough jam just to put him away. And that's what I think it was.
Sure. Where do you think the UFC places Diaz next? Is it Masvidal? Is it waiting for the Conor fight? He could fight Conor for a third time. Where do you think they want to see him next?
Wherever's going to make him the most amount of money. I mean, Diaz is. I mean, I don't know. The guy should be fighting at 155. First off, I don't think he should be fighting at 170. But it's hard to say. I mean, he's just a money maker now. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, far. I mean, he can't. I don't think he can beat half of the guys in 155, and most of the guys in 170 are just too big and too strong for him.
Yeah. It's amazing how he's he's still super relevant. He's lost 13 fights, and but people love him. They love him on the card. He makes big money. He only waits out for big fights, and he's still moving the needle, as they say. Another guy that didn't really listen to his corner pretty much throughout this fight was Marvin Vettori against Israel Adesanya.
Wasn't that completely fucked?
Yeah, Rafael Cordero was yelling at him every round. Between every round, he was like, "Hey, you're losing this fight. You got to do this. You got to do that. What's going on?" And I don't know what was going on. He thought he was winning, which is an absolute complete shock. What was wrong? Is it a weight cut issue? Is it just something wrong in his head mentally? What was wrong there?
I don't know, man. I mean, he was getting beat up bad, and he was pushing forward, but he couldn't land it. I mean, even the takedown he landed, he couldn't do anything. He had that one takedown attempt where he tried to get a rear naked choke, and that didn't last very long. And I think he just was so confident that he was moving forward and putting pressure on the guy that seemingly that he thought he was doing better than he really was. But I don't know why he wasn't listening to his corner.
Yeah.
Because the corner was giving him good advice. And he didn't check any of those leg kicks too, which was insane. I mean, you can't stay at that distance. He had to either go in, and you and I talked about this in advance. He either had to get inside and take a few shots to do that, or death by a million cuts is what we saw.
Yeah. Jason.
Yeah, definitely, man. Basically, Adesanya's whole thing was to keep distance and pick him apart for distance. Yeah. And that's exactly what he did. Mm-hmm. I knew for a fact that Vettori, his only chance to win in that damn fight was to get him to the ground and smother him like Jan did. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, he didn't have Jan's weight, which was another 40 pounds on top of Izzy's body. He doesn't have that. And then also Izzy learned from that fight that he could not accept the ground position. He could not just stay there on his flat on his back and just ride out the round. Then he just give away round.
Yeah.
And he's not going to give away round to this guy because he knows he's better than this guy. And so at the end of the day, especially at the end of the fight, I just thought to myself, wow, this dude is extremely delusional. I don't know in what world, realm, or universe he thought that he won this fight, because clearly lost the fight.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why he wasn't trying to do what his coach was asking him to do, unless Izzy was just good that night, and he knew that he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do all the things that his corner was asking him to do. He just was incapable of doing it because he was that guy.
He was argumentative with his corner.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going through his head. I honestly don't. I didn't watch the post fight with him, so Darren, did he say anything in that?
He said he thought he was winning. He said, his clinch work, he was always dominating him. He said, he hit me with a few kicks and, a few punches, but nothing hurt me. And
Izzy was spanking him. I haven't seen that since Randy Couture did that to Tito Ortiz. He was spanking him. He likes, literally.
Adesanya really likes doing that. He likes humiliating his opponents. He was doing that to Paulo Costa at the end of the fight. He really likes just absolutely breaking them and making them think that they have absolutely no shot, so don't even come back at me. He just was so dominant. I hate that the UFC only judges the reach advantage from your hands. I wish they did it at the feet. Izzy had a 6-inch reach advantage with the hands, but he probably had a 1-foot advantage with the feet. He was just keeping on the outside, doing a perfect game plan, an absolute perfect game plan. And I thought, we were going to see a pretty dominant performance, but nothing like that.
Yeah, I thought I was going to see a dominant performance by Izzy, but I also thought Vettori would be game and that he would actually have a game plan. But then once you watch the fight, you're just like, I guess he has no game plan. There's nothing here. Yes, when he did get him to the ground, but he couldn't even keep him. No. He didn't keep him there for very long at all.
No.
And so that was, for me, that was more impressive to me because he clearly learned from his last fight that you can't just stay there. You can't stay there.
Yeah.
But also, too, it was easier for him to get up because, again, you don't have an opponent that's like 3 pounds heavier than you and keeping him on. So, I give all the props to Izzy in the world. He did a great job in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, he just proved that he's superior to everybody in that division again. And, it's going to be hard for anybody to come at him. He said he wants Whitaker next. Probably Whitaker's better than last time, so it's probably going to happen. Vettori says he wants Costa next. They've had a bit of a verbal exchange over the last couple days. I don't know. Do you think Whitaker has done enough to get himself in a position to beat Adesanya?
There's no one else to fight Adesanya right now. So, I mean, it makes sense that it'd be Whitaker, but I think Adesanya is just too fast. It's too fast for him.
Sure.
I believe that Whitaker deserves the next shot for sure, and I am very interested to see what the game plan is that their team has come up for Adesanya, because at least I know with confidence that guy will have a game plan, and he will look at his corners, and he will try to implement his game plan.
Yeah. Hey, I want to get to the next fight in a sec, but it has been 1 year that this podcast has been going. This past week is the 52-week anniversary. You guys came on right at the beginning, and we've had so much fun with it. Jason and I have kept it up every week and had a really, really good time. I'm glad you're able to come back. You've been in quarantine, basically, out of work, being lazy, but I'm glad you could finally find some time to do this with us again, Scott.
Well, yeah, I mean, after I finished the last project I was working on about a month ago, I was just relaxing and stuff like that. But now my kids are all back to school now, and so now I have some spare time, which is good. And I've been listening to you talk to Jason for so long now. I mean, you need to get a real expert in on MMA now.
Okay. I see. Oh, the shots have been fired already. Here we go.
Hey, Scott, it's great to have you back, buddy. It really is. It's great to hear your voice again.
Yeah, I know. You hear me in your sleep, though, I'm sure.
Tell me how many times you've looked over at your wife and considered taking her down and putting some jiu-jitsu move on her, since you haven't been to the gym in over a year. Yeah, since March of 2020, hey? So do you look at your wife every once in a while and think, man, I could put her in an arm bar, I could give her a rear naked choke kind of thing? Is it something that happens on a daily basis, every few hours?
She'd kick my butt. She'd kick my ass, man.
Yeah, but
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for things to open up again. You know that think it was in like August or September or something. Jason said he wants to grapple with me when it opens up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Do you remember that, Jason?
You know what? I don't.
No, you don't remember that, do you? Jason. Remember, Jason's a Taekwondo guy. So I found this footage that someone sent me of Jason in his last Taekwondo tournament.
Nice. Wow, good job, Jace.
Hey, my technique is exemplary, and I got to tell you, man, if it's on the feet, as you can see from that clip, Scott has no chance. None.
You were sending me jujitsu texts that night, and I didn't catch the text until a bit later, and I asked you where it came from, and I think it was during the Paul Craig annihilation. Man, can you believe that the referee allowed that to happen? Like, I'm so glad that it wasn't a broken arm. It's supposedly just a dislocation, but that was scary. What was the referee doing? He didn't actually get to a tap, but still, you see that you got to stop that fight.
Again, I'm for sure the guy tapped when he first got in, and then he was audibly yelling something, and Craig was telling him that this guy felt the guy's arm go, and I don't know, man. It was terrible. It was brutal, and you got to be careful and stuff like that, because I mean, guys can suffer injuries. Maybe not so much an armbar, but especially like in like a leg lock or something like that. Guys can have career-ending injuries if it doesn't get stopped in time.
Also, I wanted to say that the referee's positioning to like actually see what was going on. What was he doing? He should have been in the proper position to see exactly what was going on with the dude's arm. He was completely out of position, or else he would have stopped that fight immediately. I was not impressed with the professionalism that the ref showed in that particular fight. Wasn't very good at all.
This fight was in Arizona, in Glendale, Arizona, and sometimes the local commissions like bringing in their local referees. He's a local ref in Arizona. His name is Al Guinea. Only seen him on those cards. He does local cards in Arizona, but UFC is a different animal. I think we should have the main guys that have been in there hundreds, if not thousands of times. Man, that definitely was brutal. His arm was flopping around like a fish for a really long time, and everybody in the whole entire arena and everybody on TV knew what was happening, but somehow the referee right in front of him doesn't see it. It's a scary thing, and this is no joke. Somebody's going to have some serious, massive injury, maybe even a death, over incompetence from a referee.
Yeah, especially if it's like a choke or something like that. I mean, like, can you imagine? Like, I always think of one of the most brutal chokes was that standing guillotine that John Jones did on Machida. Can you imagine if Herb Dean wasn't there to stop that? I mean, like, I think it was Herb Dean at least, if I remember correctly. But and I'm not a huge Herb Dean fan. I find that he can be a bit off in some of the stopping some of the striking stuff. But Herb Dean knows when to stop jiu-jitsu matches. I mean, he's the guy who stopped Frank Mir when he popped
Tim Sylvia's
arm. That's right.
Right.
He didn't do it from a tap. He just did it from watching the arm.
You could see it. You could see it move and do that snapping motion. Yeah. So, Paul Craig is no joke, man. Is that guy an amazing grappler? He is just phenomenal on the ground, and he likes going on his back.
He was a brown belt.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he won the. European or British Jiu-Jitsu tournament and was qualified him for the Pan Am for Abu Dhabi as a purple belt. So he's well versed in the sport, and I think they made him a black belt that night after watching him dislocate that guy's arm.
I guess that's a good way to get a belt.
I want to see Paul Craig fight someone in the top 15, top 10 at least, because he, to me, is a real dark horse in that division. Yep. I'd like to see him challenged a bit more.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to say, just the slickness that he put that arm on him, where it looked like he was going to attack the other arm, and then what was it? a split second later, the arm bar on the opposite arm was put in, cinched in, and it was over. Like just like that. It was over in a flash. Like that dude has probably some of the best ground skills in UFC. Period.
Yeah. Jamal Hill was the favorite going in. He was undefeated as a mixed martial artist, 8-0. Really highly touted, has had some really great performances recently, but Paul Craig took that arm, decided, oh, this is not the arm I can get. This is the other arm I can get, and wham, it was nasty. It was incredible. We can't go any further without talking about the performance by Brandon Moreno. We saw a rematch between these two guys. That was basically the fight of the year last year, in my opinion. And then we see these guys have an opportunity to go at it again. Figueiredo won that fight, if not losing a point in the previous one, getting a draw. But this was a absolute dominating performance by Brandon Moreno. He has learned so much from that first fight, and boom, came in and took it to him and dominated, and is the first Mexican champion in UFC history. It was really great. Goosebump moment, make you feel emotional. Really great to see him get his lifelong dream reached, and all of a sudden popularity in Mexico is going to go through the roof. This is an awesome win for him.
But was he that good, or was Figueiredo that bad?
Who knows?
Figueiredo looked like shit.
True.
I don't know what I'm just being honest. I mean, he looked terrible. I've never seen that guy look so bad. I don't know if he had trouble with his weight cut, or the guy was slow. He wasn't engaging. Usually he's the guy who goes first, or he did not look like the same guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he did not look like the same guy that won that title and has been buzzsawing through that division.
I think he's always had problems with weight cut, but I heard he was the last on the scale with the last very minute, had to have, everything off of him, standing there. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that weight anymore.
He's a bantamweight now.
Yeah, he didn't look good, but Moreno just took advantage and looked spectacular, I thought.
I honestly, when he walked into that octagon, to me, I think you could tell he was ready for the moment.
Yeah.
He was ready to capitalize on the moment, and he was ready to take what was his. And I maybe Figueiredo even felt it when he was in the octagon, because it's very rare to see your opponent bestow that much in defeat, which is what he did.
Yeah.
But it was a shutout. He shut him out, man.
Yeah.
There was no point in that fight that Figueiredo showed that he had a chance to win the fight.
No,
There was none.
Yeah.
There was none.
Jason, you and I are huge boxing fans, and we've seen so many Mexican champions over the years. It's been, just a hotbed of incredible talent. And, boxing is just one of the most incredible sports in Mexico. Just these guys are so revered. Do you see Moreno just getting that type of popularity now, having this belt?
Yeah, I do. Because he has that Mexican warrior spirit. It kind of reminds me of like Julio Cesar Chavez.
Nice.
He's got that in him. Because let's be honest, going back to that first fight with Figueiredo showed bombs, and Moreno was just like, "Is that it? Is that all you have?" Then I'm just coming forward.
Yeah.
And that's what it did. Like, it would take a massive amount of skill and ultimate destruction to get that guy out of there.
Sure.
And even Figueiredo didn't have that in him. He couldn't do it. I don't think he was going to be able to do that.
Jason, come on, man. Like, Figueiredo looked terrible. Figueiredo wasn't even setting anything up. He was just throwing haymakers, because something was not right with that guy. Either the weight cut or something. I mean, that guy has had one loss in his entire career. And he's been fighting like all the top guys, and he always comes out. And this is a guy that throws guys to the ground, he chokes them out, he submits them, and knocks guys out. He looked terrible.
Yeah.
Well, even if it wasn't,
and it wasn't because Moreno came in and was like, wooing him with his eyes. Come on, man.
Well, Scott, though, even if it was a weight cut issue, even if if he knows he has a weight cut issue, then why didn't he start his weight cut earlier? Like, this was one of those fights where he had to be ultimately prepared. And if he wasn't prepared, that's on him. I don't know
what do you weigh? How much do you weigh? You're in good shape. What do you weigh?
170.
170. You're walking around 170.
Yeah.
So can you cut to 145?
No, man. No.
Exactly. He shouldn't be fighting in that division.
Yes, absolutely.
So he can't. It doesn't matter when you start weight cutting. I mean, there's just got to a certain point where we have to start cutting off limbs to get to a certain weight, man.
Well, that's true, but then his team should be telling him we can't fight at this weight category anymore. We got to go up because this is.
He did. He said after this fight he's going to bantamweight. He said that. Well, he said he wanted to fight for the title at bantamweight after he won this fight. So to me, that's a guy who just can't make the weight anymore. Just like Conor.
Yeah.
When he won the title, he's like, I gotta get the hell out of here and get up to 155.
Yeah.
I wonder how many years it's going to be before we see them weigh in the day of the fight. Screw this weight cutting thing because it's dangerous. We're not seeing the best performances out of these people. They should be fighting at their natural weight. Forget this weight cut. It's causing way too much problems. I think it caused a problem in both the two co-main event fights. And, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing these guys almost kill themselves and have so terrible performance because they're fighting at a weight that's just not suitable for their body.
So which other fight do you think was effective?
Vittori. I think Vittori just didn't have the same kind of zip he could have had. I think he's too big. I think he's too big. He just looked zapped. He completely looked terrible. And I've never seen him look that bad. And I think he's just carrying way too much muscle to be able to get down and fight properly at that weight.
Well,
I think he looked jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe too much muscle in his head because he clearly didn't hit his corner. You know what I mean?
That was incredible. His corner, they're very brilliant guys. They were imploring him. They were telling him what to do, and he just completely ignored them. It was scary, but he didn't have anything in his brain. He had zapped his brain. He had tried to get down to that weight. I saw Paulo Costa have the same kind of performance. He's the same type of size. I just see it way too much. Almost every card I'm seeing guys that are just giving terrible performances because they're just too big anymore. Too big now to get back down to that weight that they always have been.
Yeah, there's got to be a natural progression as guys get older and get tougher to cut weight, or they can't recover as fast as the weight cuts. So I mean, that's where you're seeing guys just slowly moving up, and that seems to be the natural progression for a fighter. But I don't know. I mean, there gets to be a tipping point where there's no turning back, and I definitely think Figueiredo's at that point. Vittori's still young. I mean, he's not even 30. Yeah, I think he's 29. So I don't know what happened there. I really don't. I thought Israel was going to win, but I thought Vittori was going to put a better performance in that.
Yeah. Okay, we witnessed probably the end of a UFC career on Saturday as well. Damian Maia took a loss against Bilal. Remember the name Muhammad? They kept saying it over and over. He's just doing the same thing. He's just doing the single leg. He's not progressing. Why is a 43-year-old not able to adjust and adapt his game a little bit to get the takedown where he wanted the fight to go? Amazing career, but a really kind of a sad way to finish it.
He's not a wrestler, though. He never was. I mean, he's an outstanding jiu-jitsu practitioner, but you've got to be able to get the guys to the ground before you can actually utilize your jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, it's exhausting to move from a single to a double and vice versa or whatever. It's exhausting, and he's old, and to fight a guy like Muhammad, who's a great grappler as well as a great striker. I mean, it's tough. He just doesn't have the gas in the tank anymore. Yeah. And you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's a guy who relied so much on jiu-jitsu for so long you know, he's got he almost should have let Muhammad take him down.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, but Muhammad was never going to go to the ground.
No.
How dangerous Maya is on the ground. That's his world. He was never going to do that.
Yeah.
And I give Muhammad all the credit in the world. Like his takedown defense is stellar. It was one of the best in the UFC. You see those guys' legs? They're like tree trunks, man. Like his balance and his stability on his legs was just so exemplary that night. And then also for me, I kept yelling at the TV. It's like, if you keep doing the same thing, it's not working. You're insane. What's wrong with you? Like start trying to get your attacks. Start trying to run the fight and get a different angle so you can get him down to the ground. You've done, like he's been doing MMA long enough that he should know these techniques. Yet he did none of them. Not one. He just did the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Then he lost.
On the prelim card, we had fight of the night. Brad Riddell, Drew Dober. Heck of a fight. I had a chance to hang out a little bit with Drew Dober last time UFC was here in Vancouver. I always thought that he had a lot to offer, and I thought he was going to move up the ranks. He looked phenomenal early on, but Riddell just ended up overpowering him. That City Kickboxing from New Zealand had two, incredible fighters. They just keep pumping out these great guys, and that was one hell of a fight. These guys are two really good warriors, and I'm glad that they got fight of the night.
City Kickboxing, that's probably the best club right now. I mean, they remind me of the older, 5-6 years ago, AK out of San Jose, when they had all those. They had Khabib and DC and
Cain Velasquez and
they had everybody. So I mean, City Kickboxing kind of feels like a mini version of that, but those guys are just awesome. And what was great is that he fought conventional and he was fighting a southpaw, and you notice he never jabbed. He always led with his right hand, and for some reason, Drew Dober just couldn't make the adjustments to handle that right.
Yeah.
And the leg kicks too were phenomenal.
True.
Yeah.
And MMA is now so much has to do with leg kicks.
It sure has become, yeah. Jason?
And I thought that Riddell's his attacks were just more diverse than attacks. Like even when he was in the clinch and was in close, he threw some elbows in there too, just to change it up. And the other thing that I noticed was that Dober never usually got his head off the center line. There was not a lot of head movement there, so his head was there to be hit. And I think he depended on his rock granite chin of his a little too much, because finally in the third, it got to him, and he got shook up real bad.
Yeah.
And then that's when Riddell took it to him.
You're right, because Riddell, Dober's got his guard up high, Riddell started working the body, which not enough guys do. And that's something that Vettori probably should have done too if he couldn't hit Israel up high. But I mean, he started working in the body and dropping the Dober's guard and then opening up for that right.
Yeah.
And then there's also got to be something to be said whenever a fighter gets into the octagon and they have something more pushing them for a win. And since both him and Izzy lost a friend that was part of the gym, and I think that pushed them both, especially Brad Riddell. Like he even said that in a post-fight interview that he was never going to lose the fight because he was never going to allow himself to lose the fight. And when you have something that powerful pushing you, and then that usually will give you an ultimate edge over your opponent. Like he would have to come with something spectacular just to beat you.
Yeah, it was incredible to hear that a training partner of theirs had been murdered a couple weeks ago, and they were both dedicating the fight to him. They both mentioned him in their post-fight remarks, and it must have been really tough to go through that. A guy that you go through wars with. Scott, just imagine if you heard the news that one of your grappling partners was murdered. It's got to shake you up, but incredible performances from both guys to dedicate it to their friend.
Like I said, that gym is just so good. obviously having a motivation to fight their friend would be huge too. But I just can't believe Riddell was the underdog going into that fight, because, like I said, everybody coming out of that camp is phenomenal. I mean, look at some of the guys they had. They got Kai France. They got Alexander Volkanovski. They've got you guys big boxing fans. Junior Fa comes out of Kansas City Kickboxing, New Zealand. I mean, Dan Hooker. I mean, they have just a list of murderers coming out of that place. So
That's amazing.
you put a motivation like that behind a guy too, of fighting for their friend that was killed. They're going to be pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah. I had a podcast guest a few months back, and he told an incredible story about a fighter called the Dentist. And Jeff Mazzeros, and he told this story about how this guy got this name, the Dentist. He was kicking the teeth out of guys' faces at the bar. They were just coming there saying, "Anybody want to challenge me?" It's a hilarious story. One of my favorite stories on any podcast I've done.
If anyone hasn't seen that, they should go back and watch that podcast. I go back and watch it every once in a while. It's a very good laugh.
Yeah, Jason, watch it. Any of the viewers and listeners, watch our podcast, Jeff Mazzeros. Hilarious story. Well, we had a Dentist also on this card, and on the prelim card, Eric Andrews against Darren Stewart. This wasn't as great of a fight as I expected it to be. This was another rematch. I thought they would come out guns a-blazing, and it wasn't that way. But what did you still think about this performance, Jason?
Okay. Basically, I didn't like this fight. I didn't like this fight at all. I was expecting fireworks.
Yeah.
I really was. I was expecting something explosive to happen. But Andrew did what he needed to do in the fight. The way this fight kind of reminded me of that Elite fight that we just saw a couple of UFCs back.
Okay.
Where he held him up against the fence, and then he held him up against the cage. and then he held him up against the cage. There's nothing really happened in the fight, man.
Yeah.
And I was expecting more than just that.
Yeah.
I was just expecting more than that, and I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, there's nothing much to say about it. I mean, there was unfortunately a lot of long, drawn-out fights in this card, but there was also some fun ones too. I enjoyed the Chase Hooper Steven Peterson fight also. I mean, for one that went to a decision, but
yeah. I still feel like Chase Hooper came into the UFC a little too young. He just doesn't seem like he can fight guys that, have a lot more muscle, a lot, just a lot crisper game. I just think he's just a little too young. I think he needs a lot more seasoning before we're going to see, the really true great MMA fighter come out of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's lost 2 losses now. I think he lost to Alex Saris also. And that Peter Barrett fight, I think he was losing that fight until he was able to get a heel hook at the very last minute. So, yeah, you might be right. I mean, everyone's just had so much praise about him because when he knocked out David Tamer, right? And after that, his stock just rose huge. But I don't know. I mean, I still like the kid. I think the kid's got a lot of personality. He's fun to watch, and the great thing about him, he kind of reminds me of I'm not trying to make comparisons to their personalities, but in a Diaz kind of way, he's not going to quit. That kid, he is never going to give up, and that's what I like about him.
Cool.
Yeah, Scott's exactly right. He's got a lot of dog in him. Like that guy, he's a dog. He's a dog in there. I think he just needs to get more fights under his belt, get more of that fight experience, get some more of that maturity. And as he grows, obviously he's going to get better.
The women's flyweight fight between Lauren Murphy and JoJo Calderwood, they talked about it being a sort of a title eliminator fight. JoJo was favored in this. I was surprised by that. I thought Lauren should have been the favorite. Lauren was great, quite the warrior. Looks like she'll probably be up next against Shevchenko, another sort of lamb to the slaughter. But I guess does she deserve the next title shot?
Well,
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
To me, anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, whoever you throw at Shevchenko's just going to swallow him up, beat him up, and spit him out. Like, I don't even know if she's going to last 2 rounds against Shevchenko. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
True. Yeah, that's right. That's the way it is right now in the women's divisions. Two dominant champions.
Not in 115.
Yeah. Well, two very dominant champions, obviously.
And the two. Yeah. I mean, in the 115-pound division, you got Rose, you've got JJ, you've got a few fighters that are fun and exciting to watch. And
True.
But yeah, with Nunes Nunes needs to fight Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be the third fight going up between those two, because those are the only two that can challenge each other right now.
Yeah.
It's Nunes versus Shevchenko, and you can't just keep putting them together.
I had Shevchenko winning the first fight myself.
Me too. Totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think I've heard both of you mention that before. We had a Canadian on the card, Hakeem Dawodu.
I thought you were going to say Alexis Davis for a second.
No.
No.
Hakeem, I think he has tons of potential, but they keep putting him in against some really super tough opponents. He just felt like he was overmatched in this one. I wish the matchmakers would give him a little bit better of a break and allow him to get some confidence, allow him to get some victories and move up the ranks a bit more.
Evelev is an example. He is a top-notch wrestler, and he showed it.
Yep.
And he showed it, man. Like, obviously, that's something that Dawodu needs to work on, is that wrestling. But he fought one of the best guys in that division. He was utterly dominating.
Yeah.
He didn't even stand a chance. There was nothing he could do to traverse his position or anything. The guy effortlessly took his back all the time.
Yeah.
It was over and over again.
Yeah, just another Russian example of how superior they can become on the ground. Just amazing.
But, Dawodu has had 5 wins in a row. I mean, against, a couple of them were, I think 3 out of the 5 were split decisions. I don't know. I mean, you got to shit a gap the pot. You got to move up and move out, man.
Yeah. Another fight that moved the needle was the 7-second knockout, Terrence McKinney over Matt Frivola. He injured himself celebrating, which is really tough to see a guy get that excited and then blow out his knee. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but man, what a performance. Come in and just threw 2 shots, KO'd him, and then started jumping around like a fool. But what do you guys think of that one? Jason?
It was a 1-2.
Yeah.
Bam.
Bam.
1-2, and it was over. And honestly, I thought he would pull more like what was more impressive? Johnny Walker, where he tried to do the worm and then just hit his shoulder, something like that, his shoulder up. You should have done something like that. That would have been cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was too bad, man. It sucks when a guy is going to get injured celebrating.
It's just too hard to know what was going on there. I mean, like I said, he hit him with a 1-2 and straight up the middle. I don't know. Frivola didn't move at all. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, didn't have much of a chance. He was a late replacement. That was his UFC debut. Frank Camacho was originally supposed to fight Frivola and was involved in a car accident. Wasn't able to enter this fight. But really great. We've seen a ton of UFC debuts in this past year since the pandemic hit. We've seen a lot of guys come in, guns a-blazing, do spectacular performances, not back it up. Did we see enough to know if he's going to be able to back this up?
Personally, no. It was too fast. It was a 1-2, and then he goes I win. I can't gauge how good he is after 7 seconds.
Do you think Herzog should have stopped that fight that early?
Yeah, it was a good stop.
Yeah,
I think so too.
okay. I didn't.
But now, you don't think so?
No, I think he could have given him some more opportunity. I don't think he was completely out. Yeah, I mean, obviously that first shot really rocked him, but I think he should have given him a little more opportunity.
Well, you know what, Darren? I forgot that you really like the blood. You really like that. You really like to see a man be finished. It's like, no, it's done.
I think Frivola had a chance there. I think it was much too quick of a stoppage.
Maybe. I think that when he stood back up though, he almost fell down again. So at first I thought it was a bit quick, but when he stood back up,
he was a bit wobbled. Okay. Opening the fight, we see Carlos Felipe, Jake Collier. Collier has been moving up. I don't know why he's decided he wants to be a heavyweight, but he used to fight at 185. He's moving right up to these big boys. Both guys looked soft around the middle, and I don't know. I don't know if this is a good move on Collier's part.
I don't think he can get any lighter. I mean, he had to cut weight to make that.
Crazy.
Didn't he? Because didn't he weigh in at like 264 and a half or something?
Yeah, it's
He
insane.
came in that heavy? He really did?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
His fight before that, he came in at 265.
Huge crowd there at the arena. Great to see. Jason and I went back and forth quite a bit in the last little while, saying, it's kind of scary during this COVID time to see this many fans, but there was a ton of famous people there, lots of UFC fighters, a really good crowd. I think the crowd really has shown us that it's super exciting and it just adds so much when a crowd's there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I missed the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Like when the crowd is there, it's infectious. You can feel that energy. You can even feel it sometimes coming through the screen at you. Like it's needed. It's wanted. I just want to make sure that people, the powers that be, are doing it in a safe way.
Yeah.
Just ensuring people's safety. That's the only reason why I look at these crowds and I think to myself, is it too soon, too fast?
Yeah.
And that's going across all sports leagues in the United States.
Totally. Yeah. Chris Weidman is already back sparring 7 weeks after horrifically breaking his leg. Were you surprised? Did you hear that news? I heard it. I was quite shocked by that.
I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he's back. They sent out some footage of him doing some sparring back in the gym. It's such a horrific broken leg. You think that the guy's going to be out months and months and months and months, but to be back that soon sparring, I was really surprised.
You know what that means? It means that break that he had in his leg must have been a clean break. It wasn't nothing complicated like a spiral break or anything else like that. It was just a clean break.
Hopefully.
I think that's the only way that he gets back into the gym as quickly as he did.
Yeah. There was difficulty reffing, I thought, on this card, but there was also quite a bit of difficulty making decisions with the judging. We saw many split decisions. A lot of times it was a long time after the fight before Bruce Buffer could make the announcement because the cards were so late in coming to him. I don't know. We really have to, start looking at completely changing this, getting better judges, guys that know what they're doing, and the sport keeps getting harmed when these judges really don't understand what they're doing. I can't believe when I'm seeing 30-27 on one side and 30-27 on another. How is this happening so often now?
They're boxing guys, aren't they?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the problems. That's one of the main problems. You got these judges that have been judging in a different sport that's not MMA.
Yeah.
They're not MMA specific.
Yeah.
And even looking at that with the way that the judges are, that they're coming from another sports judge in MMA, I don't know if even like the point system that we use now is correct.
Yeah.
Could that not be improved upon as well?
Sure.
You know, because again, we're using the point system used for boxing, and we're trying to use it for MMA. Maybe that actually needs to change as well.
It's hard to say though. I mean, the point system doesn't bother me as much as the fact that there's probably more guys don't know what's going on, especially on the ground. I mean, if you look at the fans, people were spending money to go see this or booing when there's some grappling going on, and if you actually know what's going on, it's beautiful to watch.
Of course,
but Scott, you gotta remember, these are Americans.
They like
if I'm not seeing blood in the first 3 seconds, boo!
Well, or they're strikers like you.
Yeah, lots of striking fans out there, that's for sure. Today was the DC and Helwani's last podcast from ESPN. Ariel Helwani has decided to part ways with ESPN. Couldn't come up with a new contract in their negotiation. One of my favorite shows, a show that I don't miss every week, DC and Helwani. They just celebrated their year doing it. Kind of sad to see that he's left. Hopefully, wherever he goes next, they can reunite and he can get back with Chael Sonnen in DC and do these podcasts again, because they've entertained me a ton.
I'm curious on what happened in the contract negotiations with him and ESPN. I was wondering if he overvalued himself, and ESPN was definitely not willing to pay him, because he's one of the best doing that job.
Yeah.
So I don't think personally, I wouldn't think that he overvalued himself. I think they tried to undervalue him, and then he just wouldn't accept the contract.
Scott?
I could take or leave Ariel Helwani.
Okay. He's one of my favorite guys. Canadian originally, lives down in Jersey now. I think he's done really great for MMA. 10-time MMA Journalist of the Year, voted on by the fans. And that DC and Helwani show is just, to me, can't miss TV. They've had such a great run with that. It was so good over the pandemic, and being home, I definitely make it a must-watch thing. I think he's going to get some really big contract offers from other networks. So in the coming weeks, I think we'll hear a big announcement coming.
I hope so. I do appreciate his analysis. I do appreciate his takes, and I think he's really good at what he does.
Let's just talk about next Saturday's card briefly. I know, Scott, you said you probably have to go about 2:30, so we're running out of time. The Korean Zombie against Dan EJ. What do you think, Scott? Are you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime the Korean Zombies is fighting, it's exciting. But is he on this next card?
Yeah, this is the main event coming up.
I'm thinking 264. Sorry, I was thinking. So
it's coming up next Saturday.
So next week, Dan Ige.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jason.
I'm looking forward to the fight. I always love watching the Korean Zombie because he always brings it, and he walks forward like a zombie. It's awesome.
Yeah. What about the rest of the card? Anything standing out to you guys? Any guys that you want to mention?
Alexei Olenek is fighting.
Yeah.
And that guy, he's about 70 years old now, but other than that, he's so, if anyone who knows grappling and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, he's awesome to watch. He's a guy that will pull someone onto him in order to get a Ezekiel choke and stuff like that. And he's awesome and fun to watch. So I'm hoping that he's a good turnout, because I think he deserves a ton of respect.
Yeah, I think they said that him and Damian Maia were the two oldest ranked fighters in the UFC. So Maia stepping aside. I think Dana said that'll be Damian's last fight. We'll see if Olenek has a good performance, or if not, maybe this will be his last one too.
Yeah, he's lost 2 in a row. and I think he's lost like 4 out of his last 6. So I mean, he's at the end of his career, but he's so much fun to watch. I mean, if he can actually if he gets his hands on you, it's all over. But he's like a boa constrictor. But yeah, I'd imagine that he'll fight out his contract and that'll be it. I mean, how old is he? I mean, he's got to be at least 43, 44.
Yeah, he's up there. Yeah, 59, 15, and 1. Incredible length of career, and yeah, he's just a boa constrictor. Gets a hold of a guy and just takes a limb and doesn't let go. It's had a hell of a career, but yeah, I think this probably could be second week in a row we see a retirement fight.
Yeah, probably it's going to happen like that. But the fight that I'm looking forward to would be the fight at the start of the main card. I took a while to remember it. I had to look it up. It's the Matt Brown Diogo Luna. I think that has the capabilities to be like fighting the main. I think that will be a very, very good fight.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned 264. How much are you looking forward to the trilogy fight between Conor and Poirier, Scott?
I don't know. I think it'll be a rinse and repeat of fight 2. Okay. I think Poirier's way ahead of Conor.
Yeah.
I think Conor lost something once he got his $100 million. I just don't feel that he's as hungry as he once was.
Sure.
Because he's accomplished everything that he wanted to do within his career. A champion both times in 2 different weight divisions, champ, and then also set up financially for not just himself, but his kids and his kids' kids, and possibly his kids' kids. So, he did it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you: has Conor won a fight at 155 other than that one title fight he had? I don't think so.
No. Wasn't Eddie Alvarez at 155?
Yeah, that's the one. That was his first fight in 155. I don't think he's won another fight at 155.
Yeah. He's jumped around so much in his career. Yeah, he hasn't fought much in that weight division. But just before we send you on your way, Scott, George St. Pierre has come out with a lot of information about his career. He divulged a lot of his numbers. They unveiled a statue in Montreal on him. What are your favorite memories of George St. Pierre and his career and everything that he brought to the sport?
I don't know. For me, I mean, there's so many great memories, but I think one of my most favorite was I think you and I were together when he choked out Bisping. I mean, it just for a guy to come back after 2 years off and to fight at a division, heavier than he was used to and have such a dominant performance. It's just awesome to see.
I think it was more like 4 years off, not 2 years.
Or maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was gone for that. But yeah, I mean, to me, that's definitely one of the biggest highlights of his career for sure.
Yeah, and also too, like going back to that Bisping fight, I'll never forget the look that Bisping gave George GSP once he stepped into the octagon with him. And it was a look of, I don't have a weight advantage anymore. He's as big as me, possibly bigger.
Wow.
Back.
Yeah.
I might be in trouble.
And he wasn't just defense. You remember those TriStar guys were really very defensive oriented for a while. GSP early in his career was knocking guys out and choking guys out, and then
super aggressive. Yeah.
And then he would just kind of move to this, slower pace, kind of dragging things out of it. But I think that's because he was almost wasn't as excited about the sport anymore. When he came back against Bisping, he looked like he had a fire I hadn't seen in a long time, which was fun to see.
Yeah. I recommend you and many others going on to MMAJunkie.com. Fantastic article. They really go in depth with George and his whole career. He talks about how much money he made in the early stages, how much money he started making once he got the title and was moving into bigger and bigger cards. It's a really great read and just really goes more in depth than anything I've ever seen from George.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
Okay, it's 2:30. We're going to send you on your way. Have a great afternoon, and keep in touch. Let's do this again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Okay,
See you
buddy.
later, guys.
Okay, see ya.
See ya, man.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Okay, that was awesome. Super happy that he could join us. Yeah, I've been trying to get him to do a podcast, but he's been so busy. 3 kids, got the responsibilities. Once he left work, had the ability to be home. All of a sudden, his honey-do list went brrrr, and he had a huge amount of stuff he had to take care of. The kids were being homeschooled for the past over a year. And I think they finally decided to get them back into classes. So, yeah, it gives them an opportunity to come and do this. And, yeah, how was that as a surprise?
It was a good surprise. It was good. It was good to see him. It was good to see that, he hasn't changed. Still takes pot shots where he can all the time.
Yeah.
Got smart mouth, but that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I thought it could get worse, so it wasn't as bad as I expected it possibly could be. Yeah, he really likes taking the what out of people. So yeah, it was shots fired, but yeah, it could have been worse, don't you think?
Well, of course it could have been worse because I could have made it worse. But since I'm I'm a sportsman.
Yeah.
I got some grace to me, so I let him have his moment. That's
Nice.
me being nice.
Good.
Let him have his moment.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Next time, look out, Scott. Come on again, and you're in trouble. I hope we can get some footage of a grappling match if that ever does take place. A lot of guys have told me that I know from his gym that yeah, they submit him and get him into trouble all the time. I think he freely admits that too. So you being in incredible shape as you are, Jason, I think it's even money. I don't know. He's got the experience, but I think you got the health. He's a little. I don't know. I might put my money on you. So let's make it happen.
Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. I've actually rolled around before and I've done that. I know in my tank, as it is stands right now, I got a good 120 seconds. After that,
okay,
I'm done.
All right.
So I got to finish.
So I got to put the over under at 2 minutes and yeah, put some bets down on that and yeah, let's try to have it on a podcast. We'll show some footage. I'll bring my video camera to the gym there, and we'll see if you can get him out in 2 minutes. If not, I'll I'll change my bets and start putting him on. Yeah. 2 minutes. Okay. Who wants to take a bet on Scott now?
Yeah, get the odds in before that 2 minutes, man. Do that.
Yeah. He likes challenging guys. He likes calling out people. He always calls out a lot of people that I know, and not too many people take him on. So we'll see. Then maybe that'll happen. He hasn't been to the gym in a really long time. I know he's chomping at the bit. So hopefully the restrictions get lifted and he feels comfortable enough to do that. Okay, we started up the podcast. We had those technical glitches in the beginning. I expected we were going to talk about the NBA for about half an hour and then get Scott on at the end of the podcast, but we didn't. I initially talked about Renata and how she was, hey, look at our Serbians, how they're doing. She was really excited about Nikola Jokic. Both these guys are the Joker. Djokovic and Jokic, both nicknamed the Joker. Best in their sport right now. We talked about him a week ago being the lowest draft pick to ever win the MVP at 41. Had a fantastic year and really deserved that MVP. Really excited to see a Serbian get in there and do this. What were your thoughts on seeing him finally get his recognition and get his MVP award?
It was warranted and it was due.
Yeah.
Like the man has gotten better every single year that he's been in the league, and to the point where you can now, I think I can confidently say he's not just one of the best centers in the league. He's one of the best passers that we may have ever seen.
Yeah.
like ever seen. Like his passing is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's a center that has point guard passing skills. And not just any point guard. Like I mean the best point guards ever played the game passing skill.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
he is absolutely amazing. And especially with the fact that his running mate, Jamal Murray, got injured and he put the team on his back to get him to the playoffs, and they got past the first round. You know, like that to me just tells me everything I need to know about that man. He's well-deserved reward, and the first center since Shaq in 2000, I believe,
Wow.
to win the MVP award. And that's just incredible.
Yeah.
He did it.
Crazy.
He picked 41. 41.
Yeah. Yeah, Denver, really great to have him. And I want to talk about him, especially I want to talk about his temper on the weekend. Reared its ugly head to see him lose his temper a little bit. It had ramifications. But I do want to talk about Djokovic. I watched him this week, this past couple weeks in the French Open, and he came up against Rafael Nadal, the king of clay. Rafael has 13 titles at Roland Garros, and Djokovic was able to beat him in the semifinal and go against a Greek competitor, Stefano Tsitsipas, in the final. He was down 2 sets for the second time in the tournament, and he roared back and won the next 3 sets. He won his 19th Grand Slam. He is only 1 Grand Slam behind Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. Once he gets that 20, nobody's going to be able to say that he's not the greatest of all time. And it's just incredible to see his meteoric rise and being able to stay at the top, being able to be number 1 and beating the best of the best tournament after tournament. Great for Serbia and great for Djokovic and all his fans. And it was really cool to see this weekend Serbia being represented so well.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. And he's just an exceptional human being as well. Djokovic. He really is. And just the rise and like the wars that he's had, that he's gifted us as fans to watch on TV, has just been awesome. It's been awesome to see. And once he ties that record and then surpasses it, is there any doubt on who's the best in this modern day era of tennis then?
There's going to be some arguments from some of the fans of those other 2 guys, but if you look at the records and you look at head to head and all the Masters he's won and all the other things, I just don't think you can dispute it once he gets that 20, and I don't think he's going to stop at 20. I think he's in line for many more. Federer's 38 years old now, Nadal's 35, and Djokovic is 34, so he's got that age advantage. And he's just playing at the top of his game right now and still winning all the time. It's really fun to watch. I had a blast this week watching tennis and watching him surge to another title. I want to throw some Serbian facts out there also outside of these 2 guys. Serbia has just phenomenal food. I've been to Serbian restaurants and just love it. Really famous for their brandy and great drinks. They have a phenomenal music festival there called the Exit Music Festival. I've always heard incredible things, seen a lot of footage from there. Nikola Tesla is a Serbian. He has a fantastic museum in Belgrade that I've been told that it's a can't miss thing if you ever go there. 16 of the original Roman emperors were born in Serbia, and they have incredible food, as I mentioned. They have also raspberries there. 95% of the raspberries eaten in the world are grown in Serbia. And so every time you eat some raspberries, remember where they're coming from. A great country there. They've been embroiled in a lot of controversy, a lot of tough things over the years, but it's great to see some amazing athletes emerge from there and really put a great light on that country.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of Serbians should be rejoicing at this point in time that they have 2 ridiculously great sportsmen in their respective sports, doing what they do to the highest ability.
Yeah. Exactly. So, okay, let's talk a little bit more about the NBA. And Jokic ended up getting a little bit angry, frustrated, probably no doubt, being down 3-0 to the Phoenix Suns. And he had a hard foul. He just wanted to go in there and knock the ball out of the guard's hand. Came down a little bit on his nose. They kicked him out. I think it was way too harsh of a punishment. I didn't think it deserved a flagrant 2 and an ejection, but that pretty much put the nail in the coffin, and Phoenix was able to get the 4-game sweep and move on. Sad to see him have to leave after such a great season and get kicked out of his last game.
It was sad to see, but I understand why the refs did what they did. At least you could say this: they've been very consistent in the way that they've been calling the fouls in the flagrant 2.
Right.
And the way that they looked at that one was follow through with the hit and with the intention.
Right.
Like they felt it was not a basketball move.
Sure.
It was a needed basketball move. And
Right.
Payne was on the ground for a long time.
Yep.
To Joker's credit, because he's still a good man, he did apologize to him before he left the court.
Went over.
So that was good.
Yeah.
But once he left, there went the Nuggets' chance of winning that game. Once he was gone,
That was it.
chances were gone. Because Devin Booker and Chris Paul said, well, I guess that's that.
That's
And especially Chris Paul said, that's literally a wrap. Because I'm never going to miss my mid-range jumper. The way that he perfected that part of his game is just, it's terrible.
yeah.
Because if you look back to the last 4 games, in the third quarter, he missed one shot
Wow.
out of all of those games.
Wow.
One shot. And then for 3 of the games, I don't know about the last game, but for the first 3 games, 33 assists to 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
It's
Incredible.
he played perfect basketball. Perfect.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Just a masterful performance from a veteran. You know, one considered maybe one of the greatest point guards of all time. He had, that mid-range jumper has left the NBA in many teams. A lot of guys aren't attempting it anymore, but he finds a little pocket and just deadly from there. He's just lethal. And for him to get 37 points in the closeout game, it was the most incredible performance. It was the most points ever in a series-clinching playoff win for anybody that's aged 36 or older. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the only guy that's even close, and he had 32 points at age 40 and 29 at age 38. Paul just took it to another level. Even with shoulder injury that was really hampering him early on, he was so accurate with his passing, so able to get everybody else involved and to be able to score 37 too. Just a masterful performance. So, one of the things that I will remember for years and years and years, just to see him perform and take Phoenix to a level that we haven't seen in a really, really long time.
Yeah. Like the last time we saw Phoenix being this good with Charles Barkley was there.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a long time ago. And with now that, how about this? Let me start with this. The meteoric rise of the Suns, from where they were last year at the bottom of the West, to now going to the Western Conference Finals
Yeah.
in a year is utterly amazing. And the story on Chris Paul could have been, the narrative could have been so different if he hadn't recovered from that injury the way that he did.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him get injured in the playoffs, and then he's done, and then all of a sudden his chances are gone. The one being the one we all know of when he was with the Rockets,
Right.
and he had that hamstring injury.
Yeah.
And so now he recovered from that shoulder injury, and he gave a lot of credit, obviously, to the Phoenix Suns medical staff.
Mm-hmm.
They managed to work some voodoo, and they got him back into playing shape where he don't even look like he ever got hurt.
Yeah.
And also, too, they swept him. Now he gets a week to recover,
One whole week,
get
yeah.
treatment,
It's great.
all of it for that 36-year-old body, so that he can be the best, the height of his power he wants to go into the Western Final. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what he does next, because it's almost as if it's kind of preordained. I'm going to say it right here. I think the Suns make it to the finals.
Yeah.
I really believe that, because watching them through these last two rounds of playoff, Devin Booker hasn't even really needed to go God mode at any point in time.
Yeah.
The team itself has played so incredibly well and so efficient that who can you worry about? You can't leave anybody open.
No.
Everybody takes shots, even in the game. When goes out, nothing changes the offense. It's still incredibly efficient.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just phenomenal. I'm glad they're getting that week off. They were my Western Conference pick to go all the way to the finals, so good to see them on track. Be able to, all the nagging injuries are going to heal over this week, and they're going to get an opportunity to face either Utah or LA, who are in a dogfight. That's only 3 games in so far, so long time till that's decided. Incredible. Great performance from Denver this year, but Jamal Murray, missing him, and Will Barton being injured until this past game. Their backcourt was just decimated. I mentioned it early on, just the backcourt of Rivers and Campazzo against Booker and Paul. It was just the biggest mismatch we've ever seen, maybe. No chance for Denver to really compete when they lost their top scorer and a guy that's just had a phenomenal year last year in the bubble, Jamal Murray.
Yeah, they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough, so to speak, bullets in the gun to really compete with the Phoenix Suns. They just literally didn't have enough, and it showed. But also, to the Phoenix Suns' credit, they elevated their play.
Yeah.
They've really elevated their play. They've elevated their play from round to round, from the regular season. So they deserve what they've gotten. They deserve to be where they are right now. I think they're going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of guys played really well. DeAndre Ayton was just phenomenal to be able to go against the MVP and have such performances like he had. It was great. Aaron Gordon, big disappointment for me. You and I talked about their acquisition of him at the trade deadline. He was supposed to be that guy to come in and be that third piece. He had some really tough games, and I'm not sure what's wrong. He just doesn't seem to have the same hops, the same ability to get his shot off and affect the game much. I wasn't impressed with him at all.
I think he was still trying to figure out his role in particular in that offense. And let's be honest here, he'd only been there for a quarter of the season, so it wasn't really that long, and it wasn't that long for him to get that familiarity with all his teammates. And then with the fact that the second best guy on the team was injured, they didn't even get Jamal Murray at all. So it was tough for Aaron Gordon, and also too, I really felt for Mike Porter Jr., the young man had a bad back from the beginning, and his back acted up on him again throughout the course of this series, which anybody that's ever had a bad back, it's kind of hard to look around when that thing is stiffening up. So it was unfortunate for Mike Porter Jr. too as well. He had some instances in the series, but nothing that was strung together for a long length of time.
Yeah. True. Yeah. So Phoenix is on. They'll be facing either Utah or LA, as I mentioned. Utah was able to dominate those first 2 games and get some big wins, but the third game was a bit different story. The Clippers looked fantastic, putting up 132. Both Kawhi and PG-13 were able to just really, really dominate and both get their shots off, both scoring over 30. When those two guys are both on at the same time, the same game, LA's hard to beat, and they finally climbed back into this playoffs, roaring back from 0-2 against the Mavericks and winning that series. Do you think they can do the same thing with the Jazz here?
You know what? That depends. I'm a little bit worried about the Jazz right now. And the reason why is because Donovan Mitchell left game 3 with a right-footed 3 that he's been dealing with from the regular season. He even had that thing all iced up and stuff. And even with that being said, I believe he left in the third quarter. Still at 30 points. Still at 30 points. So, and he's missing his running mate. He's missing his backcourt in Conley.
Mike Conley, yeah.
At this point in time, right? So you can kind of say that Donovan Mitchell has been playing well against 2 superstars.
Yeah.
It's him versus 2, and he's winning.
Yeah.
But I'm worried because that injury that he's been playing with, because he's been playing hurt.
Sure.
Let's not get it twisted. He's been playing hurt this entire series. If he can't go, I think the Clippers tie it up.
Yeah.
If he can't go, I think he's going to beg to go, but that's up to the medical staff if they allow him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like he wanted to come back onto the court. It was a blowout, so they didn't allow it. We'll see how he recovers from it. Utah's in tough. They have the defensive player of the year in Gobert. Mitchell is a superstar, but he always needed a secondary scorer, and Bogdanovic was that guy a lot this year. But he had a playoff low 9 points, first time not in double figures the whole series. Nobody else was stepping up much. Inglis is pretty good when he's on, but Conley's a big miss. They're definitely needing him to come back. And Derek Favors, oh my God, I don't know what's wrong with him. He comes onto the court. He just looks terrible out there. I'm not sure what's wrong. I don't know if he's injured, trying to play through something, but had a horrible playoffs. Man, he has not helped coming off the bench at all. And we'll see. We'll see if Mitchell's able to come back healthy. Yes, they have a shot, but if not, LA is going to be able to come back twice from an 0-2 deficit and advance all the way to the conference final like they were expected to.
Yeah, and also too, like Leonard is leading the way on that.
Oh man.
Yes, there's 2 superstars on that team, but Kawhi is what really makes that engine run. Because he's just been so stellar in the fourth quarter as of late.
Amazing.
He's just,
we talked about CP3 hitting those mid-range jumpers. Kawhi is probably the best in the world at that. He either drives to the hoop and scores, or gets fouled and goes to the line, or he finds that hole somewhere outside the paint and he just hits the shots. He is just deadly accurate with his outside shooting. 64% I think he's at right now during the playoffs. It's just incredible to watch this guy handle the ball and know that he's going to score almost every time he has the ball. Unless they double him, he's going to get his points. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's going to get his buckets, and he's got that focus right now. When he drives to the hoop, he's not going for layups. He's dunking the ball. And that's another difference that's from the regular season to the playoffs. He's driving with force to the hoop.
Sure is.
He refuses to be stopped.
Yeah, 34-12 in that game, and it was a super dominant performance, and incredible to see. Game 4 is today, 7 o'clock Pacific. We're gonna get it on the second half of the doubleheader. The early game today is Game 4 between the Sixers and the Hawks. Atlanta and Philly split the first 2 in Philly, and then they go back to Atlanta, and Philly wins big, 127-111. Joel Embiid has been hurt, banged up a lot, but still coming at them, scoring at will, getting tons of rebounds, really impacting the game. Atlanta employed the tactic of double teaming him all the time when he gets the ball, and it really wasn't a smart move because he found a ton of open outside shooters that were knocking down buckets, and Philly was running away with this Game 3. I don't know if Nate McMillan is going to change his philosophy and play a lot the way they did those first two games. Yeah, where do you see this game four sort of shaking out?
I think basically Nate will definitely do some adjustments. But I think more importantly, the Hawks need to match the Sixers' intensity. Because from the first game that the Hawks managed to steal from the Sixers, you could tell that their defensive pressure got turned up exponentially for the next 2 games.
Yeah.
The Hawks need to match that. They need to meet that head on, or else they're just going to meet more of the same come this game, because the Sixers are coming after them. And they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. Like, listen, man, you got a guy like Ben Simmons against Trae Young and use that length and his athletic ability to follow his shot. And he does. He's 6'11". You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, you
got the size.
Specialist in the Bible who can block your shot from behind, which is a really hard thing to do without power. Does it a lot.
Yeah.
You know, the Hawks need. That's the thing that stands out to me. You need to match that intensity. You need to come out with fire. But not just offense. Their offense will come, but they need to match the defensive pressure that the Sixers are putting on with their own defense when they come down.
Yeah, I think the Sixers defense is far superior to what Atlanta has, and it's definitely shown to be a big advantage. I see Trae Young, doing all he can, but he needs some help, and they definitely, have to play a lot better defense. I'm not seeing a great defensive performance from them. Clint Capella, 16 boards, really in there, but he's not getting a lot of second chance points. I don't know why he's not being able to get those points. I guess Embiid is causing him a lot of troubles, but we'll see how Atlanta takes a different approach. Those 8 assists Embiid had last game were the most since April 19th in a game against the Warriors. He's not known for a big passing guy like Jokic is. He gets the ball and he wants to score. They employed a different tactic. It didn't work. I think they'll go back to what they did in game one and see if they can make it work better for them. The other Eastern Conference matchup is tied at 2 games apiece now. I was shocked by what happened to Milwaukee in those first 2 games. The Nets just looked far superior and just blew them out in that second game. But Milwaukee's stormed back. The injuries are rearing their ugly head again on Brooklyn. We've seen it so much this year. And now the big 3 is down to the big 1. And if it stays that way, Milwaukee's going to come all the way back from 0-2 and take the series. I guess they're really hoping that Harden or Kyrie or both can come back in this game. I don't think KD can do it himself.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for him to pull this off now without those other 2 guys. Because let's be honest, Harden's not coming back to this game. I said it before and I'll say it again. I think he's done for the series. I don't think he's coming back to the series. And then with the severity from what I saw on TV with Kyrie Irving's injury, he's not playing this. No, he's not playing this game. And I don't know if he can come in for the next game or the next game after that. It was a pretty serious ankle sprain.
Yeah.
And especially if a man is crying out in pain and writhing around on the court like that, it's a bad injury. It's bad. So, I give credit in the world to the Bucks, but the one thing that I would really like to see from Giannis, from Antetokounmpo, it's got to start taking long threes, man. I think the coaching staff should say, we'll give you 4. You take 4 again, and that's it.
That's how you
that's
get.
All I want to ever see from you, because his percentage doesn't warrant those shots in this place. So why take?
Yeah.
Get in the post and do your damage in the post. Head down low, do your damage there. but do not start taking these threes because it's just detrimental to the team.
Yeah, no, his 3-point shot is just not there this playoffs, and I think Brooklyn welcomes him to shoot that because it's such a low percentage that typically they're not getting any points on that trip down the floor. You look at Brooklyn's scoring in that last game. You see KD with 28. Kyrie had 11 in 17 minutes, and then everybody else is single digits. Nobody's scoring. We expected Joe Harris to really go off. He's one of the most lethal outside shooters. Not sure where his game goes. 38 minutes. He's got 8 points. It's not enough from your preeminent 3-point shooter. Blake Griffin, had an early good start to these playoffs, but he's becoming a non-factor. Jeff Green came back, hadn't played in quite a while since the early part of the playoffs. He's gonna, give them a bump, but they're in trouble if one of these two guys don't come back. And like you say, it's highly unlikely that we're gonna see either one of them this next game for sure.
Yeah, it is highly unlikely. And you look at the Bucks, the only person that they have injured at this point in time is DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
That's it. That's not one of their big three with the Holiday, Middleton, or Giannis.
Yeah.
They're healthy. And so for to ask KD to say, you got to beat those three dudes, you got it in you? Can you do it? I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's going to be a monumental task to get that done.
Milwaukee's won 12 straight at home, 15 straight holding opponents under 100 points. Their defense has really been superior. You and I talked about this all season long. Brooklyn had phenomenal offense, but the defense needed to step up in the playoffs. It's still really not there in most of these games. That second game was really bizarre, 86-83. That's not a score we're seeing, in the last 10, 15 years, really. It was a really bizarre game. Not a lot of people hitting shots. Very sloppy. Milwaukee was really lucky to pull that one out, scoring 86. It got blown out the game before, scoring 86 by 40-something points. Yeah, and it was like they scored 86 and won. It was like, wow, holy cow, that was a shock, quite the squeaker. But Milwaukee's defense is superior. They really have turned the series around now. I saw this amazing piece on Drew Holiday and his two brothers, three brothers in the NBA, Aaron and Justin, both playing with the Pacers, and they played against each other earlier this year. First time three brothers have ever played against each other in a game like that. It was pretty neat and cool, and quite the family being able to get three boys into the NBA. But Drew, you've said it right from the start. That acquisition is going to put Milwaukee over the top, and it has really proven to be prophetic. Man, you were right, and they, he is just such a shutdown guy. He's an amazing, amazing guard.
Yeah, he is an amazing guard. I thought that he would be that missing piece that they needed to get over the top, to get past that obstacle, to give Antetokounmpo a chance to win a ring.
Yeah,
and then also too. I'm going to have to apologize. I missed another guy, and that would be PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker, I've been super impressed with his tenacity on defense against Durant.
Yeah.
He can try to slow him down. You're never going to stop that dude. But every game I watch, the effort he puts in guarding Kevin Durant, you can't ask anything more than anybody else.
Yeah.
He is putting forth maximum effort to try to stop that guy.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, good call. Yeah, that's another huge acquisition for them. And the management of the Bucks, saw some early exits the last few seasons when they had the MVP of the league. They had, elite. They were finishing at the top of the East, and they were really, considered one of the front runners. Missing out and saying, okay, we got to sign Giannis, and then we got to get some pieces. And the pieces they brought in are just phenomenal. Great moves by them. And I think, Brooklyn's in a whole world of trouble. I'm a fan of Steve Nash, and I hope they do well because of Nash. But, with these injuries, they've had them all year, just like the Lakers had. I think they're in serious jeopardy of losing this series and Milwaukee advancing.
It's kind of funny because here we are thinking to ourselves, as the regular season's going on, it's like, okay, these guys are in and out because of injuries. But we figure once the playoffs start, they're pretty good. Like, especially if they're healthy. It's like they're nagging injuries.
Yeah.
They're not actually gone. They're still there. And we forget about that sometimes. And so now in the playoffs, and all of a sudden, before you know it, Harden tweaks his hamstring. Like what, 10 seconds into the game. And then I believe he's gone. Now he's gone for the series. And then all of a sudden, Kyrie with the unfortunate thing where he twitched his ankle on Giannis' foot. And it was a bad twist, like bad sprain. Now you're down from big three to big one. And that big one, it's not like he hasn't gotten over a major injury himself.
Yeah.
So he's on an island unto himself. Again, he does have the greatness to overcome. I just kind of doubt at this point in time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's too bad. I figured this was going to be a running news story this year. They had the shortest offseason they ever had, compressing games into a compressed schedule. I just saw a lot of difficulties. COVID rearing its ugly head and making a lot of guys play a lot more minutes than they were used to. And I thought there would be some teams affected. The two front runners at the beginning of the year were Brooklyn and LA. They were supposed to be meeting in the final, but injuries have really decimated those guys all season long. I see it affecting them to the point where, I think we're going to see different teams in this final now. It'll be historic. It'll be something we'll remember for a long time. The two favorites not making it hasn't been that way for many years. Usually people can call it at the early part of a season and know who's going to be in the finals, but this year it doesn't look like it's the case.
Yeah, and that was the exciting part of this year because of the unexpected.
Yeah.
You had no idea what was going to happen or how this is all going to play out. People thought, it probably should be that, like look at that team, it's ridiculous. But now that all these injuries have happened to him, it's like, that's not set in stone anymore. In fact, it doesn't look very likely.
Yeah.
So, and then also, any of the teams coming out of the West, I don't know who's coming out of the West. You think it's the Lakers, and then Anthony Davis had that in, and the Suns pick him out. And so now you're like, so is it the Clippers? That's not guaranteed either.
Yeah.
That is absolutely not guaranteed. So I myself, I love the Suns. I think out of all the teams in the West, they're playing the best. That's why I believe they will win.
Yeah, well, it's incredible. Phoenix has never really got a lot of press being where they are in the country and not success in many, many years. Booker, always a big scorer, but never having that playoff appearances to show, how really talented he is. This is his 8th season and he's still under 25 years old. So he's got a lot of experience. Finally getting somebody like CP3 in there. DeAndre Ayton, the number 1 overall pick, getting in there and being able to be a force in the paint. And so many pieces put together. Monty Williams, quite the story, losing his wife in a car accident and, still having to persevere. Got fired in his first opportunity, comes back, takes over this team. Who were, have never really had success in the, foreseeable past. And all of a sudden, they're a force to be reckoned with. And I would not be surprised to see them in the final for sure.
No. And it was such a touching moment at the end of that game when they swept them and seeing Chris Paul and Monty Williams share that hug.
Yeah.
Because they've traveled together too. Like I believe when Chris Paul first came to the league, Monty was his coach.
Yeah.
And they've each grown in their own way.
Yeah.
Monty has been on record saying that when he first started, he wasn't open to suggestions for the players. Because it would be his way or the highway.
Right.
And now as a coach, he goes, "Nah, the best of these guys, who know what they're talking about." And it would do good to listen to what they have to say. Their input is super valuable at this point. And so when we brought Chris Paul in, that's when Chris Paul is thrown as a player, and that is as well. And he knows how to pull it back a little bit because he's super intense. He's one of the most competitive people in the NBA. And now it's almost like a perfect storm where at this point in time in their careers, they can make this work because they're perfect for each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's magic. CP3, there were, lots of talk that he's past his prime. He's, not worth the money that he's getting paid, and he's getting paid very, very handsomely. But he came in and has really rejuvenated this franchise and taken them to a place they haven't been in a long, long time. So, yeah, it's fun to see. Jalen Rose put out a top 5 players under 25 the other day. And, man, look at the players that are on this list. Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, and Trae Young. The NBA has went through some phases where they weren't sure who was going to be the guy to take over the reins of the league and really, be the exciting players. Man, those 5 guys, holy cow, just all incredibly fun to watch and super dynamic players.
And also, with this draft coming up, we're going to have players come into the league that's going to change franchise. So now, I'm wondering, I'm going to put a question over to you.
Sure.
Do you think we're entering another golden age for the NBA?
Yeah.
We've been fortunate enough that we went through already.
Yep.
Jordan and Barkley and all of them. And seeing the end of one, at the end with Bird, Magic. I got a feeling we're entering another one right now.
For sure. Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think, NBA is just at an incredible point in their history. And yeah, you're right. There was that Magic Bird era, then Jordan took over. And when he came, when he started fading out and he finished, it was supposed to be LeBron James to take over. And LeBron James has had a phenomenal career, but I just love the injection of a phenomenal young talent. As the veterans start fading out of this game, there's still some amazing veterans like CP3, but and LeBron, who has just kept himself at such an elite level for so many years. But the injection of these young guys that are under 25 and taking over franchises and taking them to playoffs and great successes. Man, I'm just loving basketball right now more than I ever have.
Yeah, me too. I'm loving the game. I love the way the game is played. And I love the fact that, they play as a team now.
Yeah.
It's because for a while, I think the NBA went away from them and was way too much ISO ball.
Sure.
Stuff for a hero ball. You know what I mean? Where it was just, hey, watch me go to work. And I know you're there, but I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't really a fan of Rocket style.
Right.
Where it was just hard to dribble. That's pretty cool. He's doing his thing. And I'll be in the corner for 50 anytime you want that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was sort of sad to watch. He didn't get an assist I think all season there. It was like, oh my God, he just comes across the timeline. He dribbles the ball until he jukes enough until he gets open, shoots a 3. Yeah, here we go. Speaking of that Houston team that he was on, Mike D'Antoni today interviewed for the Portland Trailblazers open job. Terry Stotts was fired last week. Also, Chauncey Billups and Becky Hammonds are supposed to be in the running for this job. Do you think D'Antoni's going to get a shot there and take over that team with his style?
Here's the problem with D'Antoni. He's not really worried about that defense stuff, right?
No.
and that's
Portland. That's what Portland's missing, right?
Yes, and that's what Portland's missing. Yeah. Their defense. They got to be better at that.
Yeah.
They already got scoring. The scoring is fine. They need better defense. If they want to get over, they want to. Because Damian Lillard deserves it. He deserves more from the organization. And so that means they need to put a coach in there that will get him to where he needs to be, where he wants to be, which is a champion. And then they also need to get him the players that he needs.
Sure.
I don't know what pieces they can move. I think there's certain pieces that they want to keep, obviously, but they need some defensive stoppers on that team because right now, as it stands, they got none.
Yeah.
Got none.
None. Yeah. Be great to see Chauncey Billups finally get an opportunity. I've loved his career. I'd love to see what he would bring as a coach. And also, Becky Hammonds has done a phenomenal job in San Antonio, taking over for Pop a couple times when he got tossed. And supposedly his top assistant. Be great to see a woman finally take the reins of a NBA franchise and see what she can do.
No, that would be awesome. That would be fantastic. But now when I think about it more, maybe Billups would be the perfect choice for the Trailblazers. Why? The Detroit Pistons, when he won those 2 championships,
right?
Their defense was ridiculous.
Amazing.
You're not scoring on them at all. So maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need a guy to tell these guys, like, hey, defense is important. You guys know that, right?
Yeah. It'd be great if Chauncey could coax Ben Wallace out of retirement and man the middle there. He's probably still super amazing in the paint there. But yeah, I think Chauncey's probably the best fit there for the team and what they need. Hey man, this was super fun. It was great to have Scott involved. This is a super busy week for Complete Sports Media and the Complete Media Network. We've got some big podcasts coming up this week. We've got a huge one tomorrow. It's Mark Curtin, former NHL player, battling with ALS these days, trying to raise some funds for the cause, help him and many of the people that suffer from it. For some reason, a lot of athletes suffer from ALS, and we've seen what it's done to them. Can't wait to have Mark come into the podcast. I've also got Olivier Felton tomorrow. He's going to come in and talk about the Euro Cup and all the goings on. He's going to be here immediately after the France-Germany game. So we'll be able to break that down. Being the French footballer he is, that's going to be fun to talk to. And then Wednesday, we've got Tanner Bozer coming in to do a podcast. And then we've got a guy, Barry Grant, who does the All Even podcast. And so it's a busy week for Complete Sports Media. Tons of stuff to break down and talk to. But this was a lot of fun, man. I enjoyed breaking down the UFC 263 card, as well as the great NBA playoffs that are continuing on.
This was fantastic. And I'm so happy to see that you're so super busy this week. And then that's awesome, man. That's awesome, because it just means that we're on the up. We're going up. And that's all we're going.
Yeah. Keep going up. Yeah. Tanner was supposed to, I was hoping he would join us today and we would do the three-way call with him, but Scott ended up filling in and doing a great job. I always love his breakdowns and nice to get a different perspective. And this was a blast. This is going up in the upper echelons of the Hall of Fame Complete Sports Media podcast. And as you say, we're just moving on up. We've got some really good guests lined up in the coming weeks. Keep tuning in. Keep telling your friends and family. Keep liking these podcasts, and we'll keep bringing them to you. Thanks again, buddy. I'm super happy that we can keep doing this every Monday, and enjoy your week. I'm sure we'll be in really close contact over the next few days.
You betcha, man. It's always appreciated. And just much love, man. Much love, my friend.
All right. You too, buddy. All the best. We'll talk soon. Okay. Cheers. Okay. That's so great. It was a heck of a great podcast. A lot of fun as always. I hope we can do that again with Scott. That was fun. Jason's going to come back at you, Scott. Look out. He was surprised, but he probably won't be surprised next time. And I'm sure there'll be shots fired. A lot of fun. And I do want to mention our partners and sponsors before we go. Please, let's talk about our great partners and sponsors. We've got Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company. Fantastic value for your money. The V350 stick is a can't miss stick. If you're a player or know a player, please purchase a V350 stick. We've got Anchor FM. Anchor calls himself the easiest place to make a podcast. Just go to anchor.fm and you can, really exactly do what we're doing here. Have a lot of fun talking to people and putting together these great podcasts. They are phenomenal at posting on multiple podcast platforms for us. Forever Living, the aloe vera company, they carry products for health and beauty. And Pampas and Possibilities, phenomenal company. Really, really happy, and thank you so much to our partners and sponsors as always. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And tune into the Complete Media Network, completemedianetwork.com. We've got tons of things going in so many different areas. You're going to be very excited with the direction we're taking this company in. Thanks again. Love you lots. Take care of yourself. Have a great week ahead. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow and Wednesday. We've got some phenomenal guests. Okay? Take care. Bye for now.